and DC Comics have a lot of superheroes that people know, but when it comes to Image, how many heroic characters can you name? Welcome back, Nerd Squad. It's me, Amanda McKnight, aka Vampex13, but you can call me Vampy. And today we're going to be counting down the top 10 Image superheroes you've never seen before. Number 10. Rubble. Rubble is Horace Benson. He kinda reminds me of another rock-based hero, to be honest, one you might be more familiar with who lives over at Marvel Comics. Yep, the ever-loving blue-eyed thing. Rubble, however, has a much more 90s style to the way he speaks, which makes sense considering that he is in fact a 90s character. He hails from the superhero team and miniseries Bloodpool from Rob Liefeld's Image Comics imprint Extreme Comics. Rubble was genetically engineered to be a superpowered human. Being that his physical body is made of rock, or rubble I guess if you prefer, he is much more durable than others out there and is also known for his strength as well. He also is known by the name Rubble because he can literally dismantle himself and use his body parts as weapons. Think Arm Fall Off Boy from DC Comics, but of course cooler. And friends, before we move on to our next spot on this list, if you love what we do here at Top 10 Nerd and you love it when we talk about Image, we do have an Invincible playlist. So if you are just craving some more Invincible while we wait for part 2 of the animated series, go check that out. Number 9. Bolt. Bolt is one of the main characters of the Cape series, which hails from the Invincible universe and Image's Skybound imprint. If you don't know Capes Incorporated, it's a pretty cool idea. It's basically like, what if superheroes were superheroes but as a day job? Sort of like instead of police, or in addition to police really, we had an organized superhero unit, or multiple superhero units really. Bolt initially wanted the name Black Samson, but of course it was already taken by the time he came to prominence. When he joined up with Capes, he was told that popular black superheroes typically had names connected to lightning, which is weirdly true, so he chose Bolt. He also got his powers when he was struck by lightning, so Bolt seems to fit pretty well with his origin as well. He has powers similar to Superman or Omni-Man, though he is likely not nearly as strong. He can fly, has super healing, super strength, super agility and stamina, and is invulnerable. Number 8. Darok. I don't really know if we consider Darok to be a hero yet. I've only read a few issues of Void Rivals, but what I do know is he is an amazing pilot who managed to put his prejudices aside to work with a member of the Zertonian race, a race he is supposed to hate and that are basically his people's enemies. He used his technical know-how and resourcefulness with the help of his new Zertonian ally to rebuild his ship using a combination of pieces from both his and his allies' alien equipment. He was also gifted, or perhaps cursed, some might say, with a vision about the truth of the origins of his people, the Argorians, and their enemies, the Zertonians. He learned that initially they were one people, which were basically somehow split into two, and must basically once more come together in order to survive or face whatever's coming next. At least, that's what seems to be implied in his vision. Number 7. The Will. The Will is actually one of my favorite characters from a little series called Saga, even though to call him a hero might not be entirely accurate. I don't really know if anyone in the Saga series is really like a straight and narrow cookie cutter hero or superhero, especially for that matter, but at the end of the day, there are honestly many superheroes from both Marvel and DC Comics besides that don't always act so heroic despite their labels. So I feel like if we're just gonna acknowledge that heroes aren't perfect, then we could talk about that. The Will, for those who don't know, is a bounty hunter in the Saga series. I am severely behind on Saga in regards to where the story is currently, but I do love what I've read so far in the early parts of the series. The Will is a somewhat heroic figure there. He has a moral code, but he's also a bounty hunter who is willing to, take on a job where he'd have to take out a whole family to get paid. So there's that. He is often accompanied by his ally, the Lion Cat, who can tell when others are being dishonest. Number 6. Alana. Alana starts off as one of the principal characters in the Saga series. She is another of my favorite characters in the series and definitely is one of the most human characters I have ever read. Ergo, to call her, or as I said, anyone in the series a cookie cutter hero would be inaccurate, I think, but at the same time, she definitely exhibits some heroic qualities for sure. She is brave, determined, willing to sacrifice almost anything for her daughter and her family, including her own life, and is often pretty resourceful. Number 5. Commander Capitalism. Okay, we're back to numbers. Interesting, Amanda. Commander Capitalism is another character from Capes, as well as the bonus Cape story at the end of a few issues of Invincible. He's a pretty ridiculous character all in all, but that's also kinda why I love him. Commander Capitalism works at Capes Inc. not just as a superhero, but also as, get this, a personnel manager. He first appears in Capes issue number 1, but he also appears in Capes Part 2, the, like I said, add-on story that is in Invincible issue number 28, where it's revealed that he got with another superhero named Holly, who is immortal, and he got with her apparently because she'll never age physically, but will age mentally, allowing her to keep her looks as she gets older. Yeah, pretty shallow. He also reveals that while the attraction at first was actually more physical, her maturity might also be causing him to actually fall in love with her, which he seems a little embarrassed or perhaps, I guess, surprised about. Commander Capitalism also has more atypical superhero powers, and honestly kinda reminds me of J. Jonah Jameson from Spider-Man in terms of his looks. Number 4, Hip Flask. We're going quite a bit darker than some of the other characters on our list with this one. Hip Flask is the main character of his own self-titled series and is also a main character in the spin-off series exploring some more of the world he hails from, which is known as Elephant Men. The Elephant Men series and the world it's set in seems to be inspired, or at least bears great similarities in terms of themes, to the book Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, or you might know the adaptation of that, Blade Runner. Here, animal hybrids were forcefully created to basically be mindless super soldiers made to believe since birth that they were simply the property of the Mappo Corporation, who used them to carry out dangerous and deadly missions, basically making them living weapons. After being liberated, the animal hybrid soldiers must now deal with the guilt of what they did and cope with their newfound freedom, which for some is a blessing, but for others is just a curse. But for many is really a combination of the two. Hip Flask is one of the best of the animal hybrid soldiers who, from a young age, sought to ask questions, even while being conditioned not to, and who also normally has a kind and super calm demeanor. Number 3, Ebony. Ebony also hails from the Elephant Men series. Also known as Ebenezer Hyde, he is the ally of Hip Flask, working alongside him in the information agency. He often has flashbacks to the times when he was a mindless killing machine owned and deployed by Mappo, and as a result deals with severe depression. Tragically, he also ends up being recaptured by Mappo later on after they activate a sleeper chip in his brain. Number 2, Knockout. Knockout is another member of Capes Inc. She makes her first appearance in issue number 1 of Capes, where Kid Thor, who is getting a tour of the facility from Bolt on his first day there, spots her in the gym while she is in the midst of a workout. He seems to be enamored by her beauty and her fighting prowess, but what he doesn't know at the time is that she is training with boxing gloves when he sees her, which she actually needs to be wearing boxing gloves to even use her powers. Knockout has super agility, stamina, and strength when using her boxing gloves, and she and Kid Thor actually do later end up married in the Invincible universe. Knockout also goes on to become a Guardian of the Globe as well. Number 1, Cila. I have a feeling this could end up as a romance story between these two characters from Void Rivals. We're talking about the other main character from Void Rivals, Cila. Cila is also still pretty new to me. As I said before, I've only read like a few issues of Void Rivals at this point, but what I do know of her is that she is definitely brave, strong, and honestly has some badass fighting prowess. She also has some tech know-how as she assists Darok in repairing his ship using pieces from both their own and from, of course, both of their own equipment, as I said earlier. When they are taken captive / somewhat rescued from the desolate emptiness of space in issue number 2, she is the one who offers to head out in front, prepared to do battle with whoever has taken in their ship, which when I saw, honestly, I was amazed by. I was like, oh, okay, this is Cila. And at the beginning of issue 3, she proves that she is definitely more than just a pilot. That's about it. Until next time, you stay nerdy, YouTube.